For the first time in 2018, Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee met on Wednesday, April 4, to review the country's interest rates. The new LU committee, which had not met since November 2017, agreed to leave the country's interest rate at 14% for the 9th time in a row. It has been at that level since July 2016. But other than monetary policy rates, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, also spoke on some fundamental issues affecting the economy. This next report takes a look at some of the issues the head of the Apex Bank spoke about.
It's still about
one of the issues journalists raised with the central bank governor during the question and answer session after the MPC meeting was the almost near absence of lending to private sector. With most deposit money banks battling huge size of non-performing loans, lending to the private sector has drastically come down, and in cases where the banks lend, the interest rates are usually very high. Mr. Emefiele says it is an issue the Apex Bank is really worried about.
From time to time, the Banking Supervision Department that primarily supervises that has direct oversight on the operations of banks puts in place policies that will encourage credit. The Monetary Policy Committee indeed looked at the size of credit to the economy and are not very satisfied that credit growth has not been as good as we thought. For instance, between November or December last year till February, the volume of credit has practically plateaued at 16 trillion naira, which we consider very, very low, because we think that for us to really push for growth, then deposit money banks must, one way or the other, be encouraged to grant credit to those who need credit. And the details as to the kind of guidelines that will be unfolded by the central bank to the deposit money banks to encourage them to increase credit to the private sector so as to catalyze growth in the economy will be made available in due course. However, it's important for us to know that the CBN will continue to adopt, like I said in the course of reading the communique, that will continue to adopt the unconventional monetary policy approach that is in line with our development finance objectives to pursue, to accelerate credit to the weak, to the needy, to priority sectors of the economy at single-digit interest rates.
The next issue, government debt to contractors. The huge debt has practically slowed down work on key infrastructure projects across the country, and even banks have also taken a hit.
The size of contractor debts is almost close to about 3 trillion, about 2.7 trillion. And it would be nice. And most of these, because these debts are unpaid to the contractors themselves are unable to service or pay back their loans at the banks. And that's why we seized the opportunity of this communique to also talk about it so that these debts can be paid. The central bank itself stands ready to accord some form of liquidity status to some of these debts. And through that mechanism, we believe that NPLs will recede, and then the economy, the banks can now continue to play their role, which is to catalyze growth and support credit delivery to the Nigerian economy.
The Nigerian government has been looking for investors to come construct new refineries in the country. Emefiele says with the country's sizable external reserve, the Apex Bank is willing to support any investor who indicates serious interest.
The federal government is encouraging private sector investors to come into refineries. And what we do expect, though, is that when those private sector investors are coming into the refinery business, if they are foreign, then they will come with their dollars, so they won't need our dollars. But if they are local and they will need to import the refinery equipment, of course, we have lots and ample of dollars to allocate to them for them to bring in their equipment. And I can assure anyone who is interested in going into refinery business, if you have your license from the federal government, we will accord priority
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has already announced it will soon reach an agreement with investors who are ready to finance the rehabilitation of 3 key refineries in the country. The agreement will ensure the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt Refining Company Limited (PHRC), Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company Limited (WRPC), and the Kaduna Refining and Petrochemical Company Limited. It will also reduce fuel imports, which costs the country a reported $15 billion annually.